Tonight, on an all-new episode of Mayo 3LT, the mechanic troubleshoots a P0300 code.
Now this Blazer runs terrible, and it's got a check engine light on.
The mechanic is revisited by an old friend.
So the 404 is adjusted to 30 kilovolts.
The injector balance test is finally shown. The book of compression testing is thrown out the window, and the mechanic struggles to keep up with technology.
Fuck, they can't see my fingerprints if I'm wearing gloves.
All that and more on tonight's episode of Mayo 3LT. This content is for mature audiences.
What I've got here is a 2000 Chevy Blazer. It has the 4.3 engine. So what happened was this Blazer started running like crap, turned on a check engine light. The guy said he heard a popping noise, and he took it to his local repair shop. His local repair shop did a diagnosis and an estimate for the repair. The guy that owns this Blazer, he knows a little bit about cars, and something about it just didn't seem right. So he declined to get the work done. The truck sat in his yard for a couple months, and then it was time to do something about it. So he got up with me. Now here I have an estimate from another repair shop as to their diagnosis and what the repair would be. And I'm not going to show you guys this just yet. Now I don't know what's wrong with this truck. I'm going to throw up some footage. I stopped by his house the other day, wanted to check it out. This is kind of what I had.
The first thing I did on this Blazer was I scanned the PCM for codes, and what I got was P0300 engine misfire detected. Some code readers call a P0300 a random misfire or a multi-cylinder misfire. For the purposes of this video, it's just engine misfire detected. So the computer says that there's an engine misfire detected. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to watch the misfire counters to see which cylinders are currently misfiring. On my preliminary diagnostic here, I'm watching this misfire data, and I can clearly see that cylinders 4 and 5 are having misfire events at the same time. Now here I'm going over the misfire graphic, which is like a visual representation as far as what's going on with the individual cylinder misfires. So after doing a preliminary check on this truck, just looking at some data with the scan tool, it was something that I wanted to do. I wanted to diagnose this thing myself, and really that's all the owner of the truck wants, is a diagnosis. You know, he really wants to know what the problem is and what the corrective measures are going to be. You know what I'm saying? You guys are going to be along for the ride. All I wanted to do tonight was just to get this truck turned around, because it looks like I'm going to have to jump start it every fucking time I want to work on it. So I figured I might as well just turn it around, and that way I could just go right off my pickup, jump start it, and we can start going through the process of diagnosing this P0300. We're going to do ignition test, injector balance test, compression test. We might even have to do a leak down test. I'm not really sure because this is totally unscripted. We know we've got something going on that affects cylinders 4 and 5 at the same time. So let's just treat this like it was just cylinder number 4. Really, because cylinder number 4 is the easiest one to get to. Now, just so you guys can follow along with what we're doing as far as what cylinder's what. This is an overhead look of the engine.
This is going to be cylinder number 2. This is number 4. This is number 6. You have 1, 3, and 5.
For the purposes of this video, number 4 is going to be the one that we're going to test, because it's very easy to get to as opposed to number 5.
So first we're going to do the ignition test. Now with these things, with primary and secondary ignition, we want to have good spark coming off of the plug wire. So I'm using the Thexton 404. I still got that same one from that video from like 8 years ago, and set it to 30 kilovolts, and let's just see if cylinder 4 is getting 30 kilovolts. We also could go and do the same test for cylinder 5, but like I said, for the purpose of this, we're just going to do cylinder 4.
So I pulled the wire off the number 4 spark plug. I've got that plug wire plugged into the Thexton 404. So the 404 is adjusted to 30 kilovolts. And I have a jumper lead that comes around, turns to black. It's connected to the negative battery. Told y'all you'd be seeing these vice grips more.
Let's see if this motherfucker will fire up. Alright, we're rolling. I'm stuck in the truck. Got no spark on number 4. None. Let's see if it'll jump 20 kilovolts.
Alright, so thexton 404 is at 20 kilovolts. Jumper lead still hooked up to the negative battery. So let's try her again. There's spark on number 4. Maybe my thexton 404 is broken. Let's try number 2. So the thexton 404 is working, but we didn't have spark on number 4. Now, even though we know that we don't have spark on number 4, we're going to continue with the troubleshooting pretending that we did have spark, because I still want to show you guys the rest of the troubleshooting procedure for this thing. So my wrap-up thoughts on this thing after night number 1 on this diagnostic. It's actually night number 2, but because of dicking around with these stupid GM battery terminals, getting this truck turned around was a big ordeal. I'm pretty optimistic about this. If you don't have spark on number 4, of course you're going to have a misfire on number 4. Wonder what that shop was doing. If it's something as stupid as a fucked up distributor cap, this will be more extraordinaire than the time Monte Cristo flew into his mansion on the hot air balloon. Alright, today we're back with the 2000 Blazer. We're going to go ahead and do the injector balance test. You come right back behind this air cleaner lid. There is our fuel pressure test port. There's supposed to be a little black cap on here. This one I guess is long gone, so that's where I'm going to hook my fuel pressure gauge up to. Hanzo steel, motherfucker. We're going to use the Tech 2 scanning tool. The tool has a test option in there, and what it's going to do is it's going to pressurize the fuel system. We'll see it on the gauge, and then you can individually turn injectors on and see how far the gauge drops. That bird needs to shut the fuck up. It says select injector to be pulsed. Just go with number 1. You're gonna hear the fuel pump run. We're at, I don't know, 53 pounds of pressure. Record the fuel pressure reading. So 53. Now we're just going to hit pulse injector. Now we're at like 43. And we're just going to keep going down the line. Yeah, 53. 53. 43. Cylinder 4, one of our suspect cylinders. Let's see if we get any action here. Yes, we'll do. Cylinder 5, another suspect injector. 53. 43. Cylinder 6. 53. 44. So for our injector balance test, everything looks good. Now we could go and repeat this process numerous times if we suspect we had an intermittently sticking injector or something, but we know we've got a dead miss on this thing. We really wanted to see if 4 and or 5 was firing. They both are. So we're going to move on with our diagnostics. What I want to do now is just do a compression test, see what's going on, particularly, however you say particularly on number 4. Now it's important to note that this is not a formal, by the book compression test. All I want to know right motherfucking now, do I have good compression or not? We're not doing a thorough analysis of this engine. I just want to know, does cylinder 4 have compression? So I'm not pulling out every spark plug. I'm not holding the throttle open at 100%. I'm not doing my 4 cranks while studying the gauge. I just want to know, do I have compression, yes or no? It's important for me to say that now because this is not going to match what the service information is going to tell you or what other people will tell you.
and it's okay. This is for my case only. The first thing we have to do is get all the fuel out of this thing. Without being too scientific, if the engine has fuel going into it while you're doing the compression test, the cylinder walls could be washed down and it can throw off your compression readings. We don't want that to happen. So we're going to start Mr. Blazer here, hopefully. Fuck. Yeah. I'm going to pull out the fuel pump relay and let it stall. Make sure we get any unburned gas out of the cylinders. Cool. So you can kind of see the plug wire for number 4. Here you can definitely see the plug wire for number 4. And there is the plug for number 4. I'm going to go ahead and take that guy out. Double platinum. When you want to put the wrong spark plugs in your engine, be sure to use double platinum. And it smells just like gasoline because it's not firing. This is my Matco CT60K from like 13 years ago. It's probably this one. We'll go ahead and thread this into the spark plug hole. Try to zoom in on this thing. So let's give her a good couple cranks. Looks like it got up to 160 pounds of compression. So good compression on number 4. I'm not going to do compression on any of the other cylinders. Again, we're doing a diagnostic here on cylinder 4. We know we have no spark on 4, but we still wanted to go ahead and do the injector balance and the compression test anyway, just to show you guys. Now, since this thing does have good compression, the leak down test is not necessary. If we had low compression, we can try to isolate it to if it was in the block or the head, and we're not going to have to. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my wrong spark plug back in here. Yes, I've daisy chained 1, 2, 3, I think four extensions together, but it doesn't matter. Still got the job done. The following procedure was brought to you by Craftsman and Stanley and SK and Craftsman again and Matco and Matco. And I used the snap-on ratchet, so how you like that? Well, I guess I should probably plug that plug wire back in. So secondary ignition is where we're headed to next. You know, I'm just sitting here enjoying some Candyland, waiting for this rain to come. And did you guys see something crazy when we did the compression test? Let's review the footage. There's a brand new starter in this truck. I mean, it looks almost brand fucking new. Misfire problem and a Chevy Vortec and a new starter. I feel like I've seen this before. Alright, the rain is done. Let's see what the fuck's going on with this ignition system here.
Got the Fluke 77. Let's see if we got any continuity through this plug wire. So plug wire checks out okay for number 4. Let's see how our cap is. Go in the terminal for 4. This is 4. Just going to follow it over to this post. Maybe it's a fluke. So we'll try the same test on another terminal. I'm going to touch this pin right here for 6. And touch it in here. We have what? 0.2 ohms. Let's just try our number 4 test again. Touch that pin right there. Then we'll come over to 4. I've got no continuity. So this one right here is number 5. Let's do the same test. Touch the post. And we'll touch the corresponding tab inside the cap. So again, this one's 5, and this one's 4, which means that this post here is 5, and this post here is 4. And there's continuity between those two posts. You shouldn't have continuity with any other post between number 4 and all the other terminals. I don't have continuity, but I do between 4 and 5. Nothing. Where you at, you little motherfucker? Nothing. 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 I got some damn good evidence now. Are y'all telling me that this dude was told he'd have to pay to fix this truck? But we've got continuity between 4 and 5 posts inside the cap. Is that what you're telling me? Is it? Is that what the fuck you're telling me? Shouldn't have any continuity between 2 posts. We'll just take other posts at random. No. 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 Nope. 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 I might research this further at a later date. But I think there's something going on inside this cap, which is connected cylinders 4 and 5 together. I'm not going to go that far. After all, my man just wants an honest diagnostic on this engine. I've got enough evidence. I'm actually going to go to AutoZone right now and get a cap for this thing. See what happens. Well, it's Saturday night. It's getting close to getting dark. I'm dying to know if this is the fix. So this is our coil wire. This is number 6. The Shorties number 4. The longer one's probably number 2. Okay, so this one should be 1. This one should be 5. And this one should be 3. Let's get these jumper cables hooked up and see what we got. By the way, if you want to turn off the daytime running lights, you just hit the dome override 4 times. Well, let's see what we got. AMC runs pretty good. Well, tomorrow's Sunday. We'll come back out here and go over this thing a little bit better. But it sounds a lot better. I don't feel a misfire. Like I said, I was just dying to know. How's it run now? Seems to run pretty good. I know I said I just wanted to fire this thing up, but curiosity has just got the best of me on a Saturday night. Diagnostic trouble codes, let's see. No codes, that's cool. We'll do one more thing you can do with the Tech 2. We're gonna go look for a specific DTC, P0300. Okay. This ignition, it passed. Sense clear, it passed. Right now at idle, misfires in 4 or 5 are not present. Now remember, the battery in this thing was dead. Like totally dead, like 0 volts dead. It needs a battery. Even between doing the compression test and the injector balance test earlier today and now, we've wiped out the battery, so our misfire history on all 6 cylinders is completely erased, like it never happened. Back out of this again, we'll go to special functions. Check out this misfire graphic. We've got no misfires. Now it's 8 o'clock, I don't want to piss my neighbors off running the shit out of this thing here in the driveway. Our misfire at idle's gone. Our P0300 passed this drive cycle. We still need to drive this truck. Here we are on Sunday morning. Got the new cap in there. And I got everything situated back to the way it was. We're gonna jump start this bitch, maybe for the last time. Take this thing for a ride. Well, I just took this thing for a ride, and this motherfucker vibrates its ass off. But it's because of these tires. These tires are just all fucked up. Probably can't see it, but these are lumpy as a motherfucker. So when we go on this ride, that's what you're going to be hearing. Hey, we got a missing stud too, that's cool. Hey, there's something wrong with this door panel too. It makes this noise. So you're going to hear a lot of that. I told you this was a loud motherfucker. My motherfucker is driving me fucking nuts. But we're not here to nitpick somebody's car. We just want to make sure this engine's good. This right here is probably the most rewarding kind of road test that I can go on. Hell of a good feeling. I'll probably have to change my underwear. Really, because I wore the same underwear yesterday. Hell yeah. With all the other noises that this truck makes, I don't know how you could hear any kind of a popping noise from the engine. I think the only thing you could hear over this thing right now is probably a stick of fucking dynamite. See, with the vehicle stop, there's no noises or anything like that. This is all related to those chopped as fuck tires. So we done went like 4 miles, just wanted to get it up to speed, make sure we don't get anything crazy going on. She did good. She did real good. If you guys remember, if I would jump start this thing, by the time I got back in the truck, the check engine light would be on. It would almost automatically fail the P0300 test. Getting excited, guys. I'm getting real excited. So again, after driving 4 miles, getting this thing up to speed, making sure everything's cool, let's go back in. DTC info. We have no diagnostic trouble codes. Again, I want to make sure that P0300 has run. Yup. Let's take a look at some misfire data. Now all I was contracted to do here was just diagnose this thing. He wanted a diagnosis for the same thing he brought it into the shop for. My diagnosis took me down a different path. I took it upon myself to slap a cap on this thing, really for my own curiosity. And I'm convinced that the repair is a success. And the problem that it was brought to me for is repaired. Now, I'm not a salesman or anything, but just based on what I saw and due to the mileage of the vehicle, I'd recommend putting the right spark plugs in this thing
probably doing the plug wires. That's just me, and really it's not my truck, it's not my money, it's not my call. As it stands right now, he's going to get his truck back the way it is without misfires, and it's drivable now. And that's it. We're done. The Blazer's fixed. P0300. I did better work in my grass and dirt driveway than these motherfuckers in a professional shop did. Let's see what these motherfuckers had to say about this truck. You guys ready to see that receipt? Let's go take a look.
This is the diagnosis from the repair shop, hidden underneath this highlights magazine. I folded up this receipt so nobody can tell who the shop was. I know who they are. The owner of this truck knows who they are, and really that's all that's important. But I can tell you this much, this receipt looks very familiar. Like I told you, it sat in my man's driveway for a couple months. So this was back in November when this was taken in for a diagnostic. Let's see what we got here. Truck mad a pop and is running rough. Way to go. Spell check. The truck mad a pop, yo. Line 2 here is for our computer diagnose. Computer, they spelled computer wrong. It's very professional. They charged the owner of the Blazer $85 for this. These two lines down here are kind of out of order. So they found misfire on number 4 and number 5. Check with bore scope and found damage to top of pistons. They spelled pistons wrong too. Very professional. Now the estimate for Jasper motor installed is $4,500. Now you guys have seen this Blazer. It's a $1,500 truck. They're telling my man he's got to put $4,500 into it to fix it. Now, as dumb as these motherfuckers are, they were honest that cylinders 4 and 5 were misfiring. I was able to confirm that, when I did a preliminary check on the truck. What got me here, which was the real red flag in this, was using a bore scope with a 1-hour diagnostic time. That's what the red flag was to me. It should have explained that the ignition, fuel system, compression, that all that stuff was checked. If it failed compression and subsequently the leak down, then I can see going in with a bore scope and inspecting for any damage. Between the bore scope, the obvious misspellings on this repair order, very professional again by the way, I knew there was some fuckery going on, and fuck if I wasn't right. This is no bullshit. The man paid $85 for this. He paid $85 for somebody to tell him he had to put $4,500 into a $1,500 fucking truck. So there you go. My man paid $85 to get an estimate for $4,500 to fix his truck that I just took on a fucking road test with no misfires. A truck that I just fixed for $30 fucking dollars. Now I can just as easily flip this receipt around and show you guys who this is, but that's not really going to accomplish anything. What's going to happen tomorrow when somebody else drops their car off there? How hard are they going to get fucked? You know what I mean? You guys want to know? Well, I come up on here with a big fucking attitude and say what I say. This right here is why. Do you guys understand what happened here? This man was quoted over $4,000 to fix his truck. His truck's only worth probably $1,500. And actually, after seeing the tires and the rust that we saw earlier, I don't even think it's worth that. So let's put the value of that truck at about $800. You want to put $4,500 into an $800 truck? Now, of course, a new motor would have fixed it because they would have put all new parts on it, including the $30 distributor cap. This is why I drag my video camera outside, film what I do, take the time to edit these videos, and show you guys at home, you guys who are not professional mechanics, how y'all can diagnose your own problems and shit just by following what I do. So who can you trust? At the end of the day, you can't trust them motherfuckers. The only person you can really trust is yourself. You probably should trust me too, but you really got to trust yourself in your own diagnostics. This is why I do it. As I filmed this video series, I wasn't sure how I was going to do it. In one sense, I wanted to make a series of individual videos that goes through the diagnostic procedure for this P0300. After some long thought about it and debating it, going back and forth of which way I wanted to do it, I asked myself, what would I want to see? And what I want to see, I want to watch one video, start to finish, that shows the whole procedure. That's what I want to see, and that's what I'm presenting here. I'm glad that I had the opportunity to show you guys this P0300 case from start to finish. It's kind of unplanned. I've got a lot of other projects going on. I'm balls deep in this P0171 174 only when cold debacle with the Tahoe. I'm getting ready to tackle that. This just kind of popped up and I took it on. With all that being said, thanks for watching. If you like it, subscribe. If you don't, I'm running out of stuff to say if you don't. If you don't like it, fuck you.
Here we got a Hummer H3, and those are the keys to my Modus. I'm trying to watch some data while I'm rolling around. You know, I hear like OJ the Juice Man talking about riding his Hummer, and at the same time he's smoking on some weed that smells like a pamper or a carcass. And damn if this motherfucker doesn't smell like it smells like weed, but it's so strong it's like I want to throw up. You know what would be funny is if I got pulled over right now in this Hummer and the cop says, "Son, have you been smoking marijuana in this truck?" No! You can probably ride by the precinct and the dog will start barking. Ugh. Smelling like a fucking carcass. Why, OJ the Juice Man? Why? Why does it smell like a carcass? This is another case where the customer drives the car and intermittently the check engine light will turn on and then it'll turn off. Of course, I get it in the shop. It's got no codes in it, the light's not on, and I'm forced to drive it because the guy wants his truck fixed, which is understandable.